Damas y caballeros, welcome to the moral of the story with me, your host, Robert Solano, where we are revolutionizing storytelling with the help of artificial intelligence. Now, have you ever felt inadequate? Like, have you ever looked at maybe your coworkers, peers, or neighbors, and it just seems like they are kicking butt? They're just doing so many great things with their career, their family, you name it. I think all of us have felt that way some point in our lives. In this episode, we are joining the story once again of Angel. Now, Angel at this point has left the military and has transitioned to civilian career, and we are going to see how he handles some of these feelings and emotions of feeling inadequate. Now, sit back, relax, enjoy the story, which is narrated by artificial intelligence, not me. And after the show, stick around because we're going to have a little post show discussion, answer some questions, and please enjoy. Let's get started and turn the page on the next chapter. Second Service, Chapter 1. The scent of roasted coffee beans and steamed milk wafts over me as I step into the coffee shop, mingling with the low hum of conversation and clinking of cups against saucers. Shafts of late morning sunlight slant through the front windows, illuminating the cozy space with its exposed brick walls adorned with colorful local art. I spot Gary already seated at a corner table, engrossed in his phone. He's the picture of brisk efficiency in a crisp white button-down and navy blazer, not a single salt and pepper hair out of place. As I approach, he glances up and a wide grin splits his face, making him look like the fresh-faced cadet I remember.
Angel, so damn good to see you, brother. What's it been, 10 years?
More like 14, I say with a wry chuckle as we settle into our seats. Has it really been that long? The lines etched in our faces count the years. Glancing from Gary's polished Rolex to my own battered G-Shock, it's clear the years have been kinder to some than others. A server materializes at our table, pad in hand and a bright smile on her face.
Good morning, fellas. What can I get started for you?
I'll have a cappuccino, the largest you got, and one of those almond croissants if you have any left.
I don't suppose you have a café con leche?
You know, I wish we did. I've been craving a little taste of home myself. Nada como un cafecito cubano, ¿verdad?
De acuerdo. ¿De dónde eres?
Miami, born and raised. ¿Y tú?
Orlando. But my folks are from Puerto Rico originally.
Ay, un boricua. I should have known. You got that sabor, papi.
I laugh, feeling a welcome loosening in my chest. It's been ages since I've let myself slip into Spanish, into the easy rhythm and flow of my mother tongue. Too long spent trying to blend, to assimilate, to sand down my rough edges and squeeze into the military mold. But here, now, in the glow of the stranger's unexpected camaraderie, I can feel those old roots stretching out, reaching for connection, for the comfort of shared culture and experience.
Oye, I know it's not the same, but I can make your latte a double. Maybe add a splash of raw sugar syrup. Bring a little of that Caribbean sweetness. ¿Entiendes?
Entiendo. Gracias, hermana. You're a lifesaver.
Un placer. Us island kids gotta stick together, right?
And with a last conspiratorial smile, she whisks away, leaving me basking in the unexpected warmth of our exchange. Gary, of course, misses none of it.
Well, still got that Puerto Rican charm, huh?
Shut up, man. It's not even like that.
No? Could have fooled me. I haven't seen you light up like that since Marisol, if I'm being honest.
The mention of my ex sobers me, dousing the little flicker of flirtation like a bucket of ice water. Yeah, well, fat lot of good that did me in the end, huh?
Rough one.
Like you wouldn't believe. But hey, not as hard as a deployment, right? I regret it instantly as Gary's brow furrows in concern. Pasting on a smile, I scramble to lighten the mood. So, Mr. VP, I hear congratulations are in order. PSC is making some serious waves with the new chip factory.
Yeah, we're having a hell of a time finding labor for the data centers, though, especially qualified techs for the clean room machinery. The tolerances on these systems are insane. And with Silicon Valley paying such obscene wages, it's an uphill battle to recruit and retain. The only saving grace is the lower cost of living here in Phoenix, and a hell of a lot better weather, too.
I nod along, but inside a knot of inadequacy tightens in my gut. Reading about Phoenix Semiconductor's billions in government subsidies in the news is a far cry from my current reality.
So what have you been up to, Angel? Still doing the army thing, or did you go private sector?
My pulse quickens as I avert my eyes, staring down into the laminated tabletop. Where to even begin unpacking the past decade and a half, the series of missteps and misfortunes that led me to this point, the disastrous deployments, the crumbling marriage, the squandered potential. Each memory sears like a brand. Nah, I actually left service a while ago. Did my time as a field artillery officer, but I trail off, the words sticking in my throat. After a couple rough tours and then the divorce, getting passed over for promotion felt like the last straw, you know? So, I resigned commission, moved out here to be closer to the kids.
Hell, I'm sorry to hear that, Angel. The divorce and everything. That must have been brutal. What happened, if you don't mind me asking?
I messed up, plain and simple. Wasn't there like I should have been. I swallow hard, an old ache throbbing in my chest. But I'm trying my hardest to be a good dad now. It's all I can do.
I'm glad you're focused on your kids. That's what matters most. So what kind of work are you doing these days, then?
Heat blooms across my cheeks, and I glance away, studying the artwork adorning the cafe's exposed brick. Vibrant desert landscapes, anything to avoid his probing stare. Oh, mostly driving for Uber and Lyft, hustling to pay the bills. I get some disability from the VA too. Between that, I'm getting by all right. The admission tastes like ash on my tongue, an awkward beat. Gary opens his mouth to reply when our server appears, a vision in a crisp black apron, glossy ponytail swishing behind her. She sets down our drinks with a dazzling smile that crinkles the corners of her warm brown eyes.
2 almond croissants, 1 large cappuccino, a double shot latte with a little something sweet. Buen provecho, chicos. Let me know if you need anything else.
Gracias, I murmur, but she's already vanished into the fray of the busy cafe, her voice rising in animated Spanish as she banters with the baristas. The cadence of it washes over me, at once foreign and intimately familiar, a bittersweet reminder of home, of my family and culture left behind.
You know, if you're at all interested in exploring some opportunities at PSC, just shoot me your resume. We're always on the lookout for sharp guys like you, especially with that military leadership experience under your belt.
I shift in my chair, unease prickling across my skin. Working under Gary, having my shortcomings thrown into stark relief against his blinding success day in and day out. I'm not sure my fragile ego can weather it, but I arrange my face into a mask of careful neutrality and nod. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. So, have you kept in touch with any of the other guys from our class?
Not a ton, but I did run into Wes a few months back while I was on the Hill with some lobbyists for work.
No shit! Wesley Hunt? Like Congressman Wesley Hunt?
The very same, and get this. Pat Ryan and John James are in Congress now too. Ryan in the House, James over in the Senate. Can you believe that?
Christ! I slump back in my seat, shaking my head slowly. Pride for my fellow long gray line brothers mingles with an aching sense of being left behind, the chasm between us yawning wider by the day. Memories of our cadet years flash through my mind in vivid bursts. Pounding beers at the first class club, sweating through grueling IOCT courses, belting out the core at Army football games with our arms slung around each other. Back when our futures gleamed bright with promise, unsullied by the crushing weight of reality. I'm proud of them, I say, meaning it, despite the bitterness souring my throat. Proud of you two, Gary. Hell, proud of our whole class. What you all have accomplished, it's incredible. I ticked the victories off on my fingers like a roster. Socrates' company just passed $1 billion in revenue. Melissa's some hotshot surgeon at Yale. Ivan and Mallory made lieutenant colonel early and took battalion command. Each name is a barb in my chest, a reminder of my own stagnation. I trail off, swallowing hard against the sudden tightness in my throat. Gary studies me, something uncomfortably close to pity darkening his eyes. When he speaks, his voice is gentle.
Listen, Angel, I appreciate that, but don't count yourself out, all right? You're a good dude, a great dad. Whatever you end up doing, I know you'll crush it. You just have to figure out what it is you really want and go after it with everything you've got. Don't let the past define you.
I nod tightly, not trusting myself to speak, as tears prick the backs of my eyes. If only it were that simple. If only I had the first clue what it was I wanted, besides being a better father to my boys. That singular goal has consumed me for so long, a desperate attempt to atone for my failures, that I scarcely know who I am beyond it anymore.
Seriously, you have to decide what you deserve. Once you decide, the universe will conspire to make it happen for you. If that's an opportunity at PSC, my door is always open. But if there's a different path for you, I have no doubt you'll make it a success.
Yeah, thanks, Gary. That means a lot.
Anyway, you know my door is always open. Whether it's an opportunity at PSC or just being a sounding board. I'm here for you, brother. For country and corps, yeah?
I nod in appreciation, but before I can reply, the waitress returns and places the check on the table between us.
Together or separate?
Before I can even reach for my wallet, Gary snatches up the check.
I got it. Keep the change.
Gracias, amigo.
The waitress flashes him a brilliant smile. As she turns to leave, she catches my eye.
Y oye, si te animas a abrir un restaurante cubano por aquí, avísame, seré tu cliente número 1.
Lo tendré en cuenta. Gracias. Gary waggles his eyebrows at me as she walks away.
Looks like you made a fan. Why don't you get her number? I'm sure she'd love to give you some more cafe con leche, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no thanks, dude. She's like 20. I'm good.
She's definitely late 20s.
He claps me on the shoulder one last time as he rises to leave.
And I meant what I said. Send me your resume if you want to work at PSC. And when you have the kiddos for the summer, bring them by the house. We'll throw a pool party, fire up the grill. Mi casa es su casa.
With a final wink, he strides out, phone already pressed to his ear as he barks orders to some underling. I sit motionless in the booth for a long moment, staring sightlessly into the dregs of my coffee. Gary's words echo in my head, taunting me. Once you decide what you deserve, the universe will conspire to make it happen. But what do I deserve? What do I even want? Somewhere along the way, in the haze of failed marriages and sidelined careers, of months spent couch surfing on my Tia's couch and barely scraping by, I lost sight of it completely. Survival became the only goal, getting through each day the only metric of success. Anything beyond that felt like a luxury I couldn't afford. With a sigh, I gather my jacket and keys, heading out into the harsh Phoenix sun. The light sears my eyes after the dim coziness of the cafe, making me squint as I cross to my battered Corolla. The ancient beast sputters to life, and I just sit for a moment, hands curled around the steering wheel as I stare at the unforgiving concrete sprawl of the city. Aimless. Adrift. My phone buzzes in my pocket again, an unwelcome intrusion. I'm suddenly struck by how empty my calendar is these days, besides the Uber app pinging me to my next fare. Was this really what I pictured for myself all those years ago, so full of bravado in my pressed cadet grays, wasting my days ferrying strangers around the scorching hellscape of Greater Phoenix? Seized by a sudden impulse, I pull up a fresh page in my notes app and start typing, fingers flying across the screen. At the top, what do I want? Underneath, I make a bulleted list. Be a damn good father to my boys, present and involved. Work that feels meaningful and challenges me to grow. Financial stability. No more sleepless nights worrying about the rent. Learn to be happy alone. Stop chasing relationships out of desperation, loneliness. Build a life I'm proud of in Phoenix. Make real roots here. Looking at the words glowing on my screen, a flicker of determination sparks to life in my chest. It's a start, if nothing else. I think again of Gary's offer, a lifeline extended. Perhaps it's time to swallow my pride and accept the helping hand. Getting my foot in the door at PSC could open up a whole world of opportunities, even if it's not my forever thing. From there, who knows? Maybe I could leverage the experience into a role doing project management or consulting, something that both pays the bills and makes people respect me. Anything to feel like I'm moving forward again, like I'm building something real, for myself and for my sons. They deserve that. I deserve that, I think, letting the words settle over me like a mantle. Just as I'm about to put the car in drive, my phone buzzes again, an unknown number flashing across the screen. This time, I answer. Hello?
Angel, it's Anthony Pisano.
The name niggles at my memory, tantalizingly familiar. I rifle through my mental Rolodex of Army buddies, West Point classmates, Virginia contacts, but come up empty. I'm sorry, who is this?
Anthony Pisano. I was friends with your Aunt Allison Mendez.
Aunt Allison, Tia. The mere mention of her name sends a cascade of memories tumbling through me, each one tinged with the golden haze of childhood nostalgia. Summers spent at her little casita in Peoria, watching telenovelas and helping fill yuca pasteles. The savory scent of chorizo sizzling away in her cocina. Her restaurant, Saffron and Sage, where she'd sneak me Mexican cokes and empanadillas from the kitchen while I read my comic books in the corner. And, most recently, landing on her couch for a few months before I figured out my apartment lease. I snapped back to the present. Of course, Anthony. From Aunt Allison's restaurant. I remember now. The silence on the other end of the line is leaden, buzzing with a secret dread. A cold finger of unease starts to spider down my spine. What's going on? Is everything okay?
No, it's not. I'm so sorry to be the one to tell you this, Angel, but Allison, she passed away last night.
The words hit like a physical blow, knocking the wind from my lungs. I suck in a sharp, shuddering breath, struggling to make sense of them. How can that be? I was just at Saffron and Sage a few weeks ago, eating goat cheese-filled dates and laughing with her over espressos as twilight fell over the little patio. She'd seemed so vital then, so full of her usual piss and vinegar, as she regaled me with stories of her youth in Spain, her voice rising and falling with the mellow cadence of the flamenco guitar wafting from the speakers. The thought of that voice, that indomitable spirit, being snuffed out so suddenly is incomprehensible, impossible. What happened? How did she...
We're still waiting on more information, but it looks like it may have been an aneurysm or something sudden like that. When the manager came in this morning, they found her in her office, collapsed.
I closed my eyes against the sting of tears, trying to picture my aunt as anything other than a blur of constant motion, chopping and sautéing, mixing and tasting, barking orders to her loyal staff. The beating heart of Saffron and Sage, of our family. Dios mío, I just can't believe it.
I know, none of us can. But Angel, there's something else you need to know.
My stomach clenches, a leaden sense of foreboding welling up in my throat. What is it? A long, laden pause. Then, so quietly I have to strain to hear it.
She left you the restaurant.
The words hang in the space between us, at once momentous and utterly surreal. I blink once, twice, certain I must have misheard. She... what?
Saffron and Sage. Allison left it to you in her will. I don't have all the details yet. Her attorney just called me a few minutes ago. But it's yours, Angel. She wanted you to have it.
The breath leaves me in a great, shuddering rush, the phone nearly slipping from my numb fingers. A dizzying swirl of emotions rises up to engulf me. Shock and confusion, and a neon flare of something like wonder. She left it to me. The restaurant, the dream she'd poured her blood and sweat and tears into for nearly 40 years. She entrusted it to me, her nephew, the army washout with a failed marriage, who had to sleep on her couch because I couldn't even pay a rental deposit. In that moment, the grief sharpens to an exquisite point, piercing the haze of numbness. Because even in death, even in this unthinkable loss, she was still taking care of me, still seeing something in me that I couldn't see in myself. A soundless sob racks my chest, tears spilling hot and fast down my cheeks.
Angel, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. I can't believe I'm not ready, a panicked voice whispers. I can't do this. I'm barely keeping my head above water as it is. How the hell am I supposed to run a restaurant? The mere idea is ludicrous, the stuff of fiction. I'm no businessman, no entrepreneur. What was she thinking, putting this on me? Resentment wars with a fierce, clawing sense of unworthiness, shortening my breath and setting my pulse hammering in my ears. As if reading my spiraling thoughts, Anthony clears his throat awkwardly.
Listen, I know this is a lot to take in, and I'm sure you have a million questions right now, but we can figure all of that out later, okay? Right now, I think we just need to focus on honoring Allison's memory, on being there for each other as a family.
You're right. You're absolutely right. What do you need from me? What can I do?
Her attorney wants to meet with us tomorrow to go over the details of the estate. I know it's short notice, but...
I'll be there, I say immediately, cutting him off mid-sentence. A grim determination has taken root in my chest, tamping down the maelstrom of emotion. Just text me the address and time. I'll make it work.
Thank you, Angel. I know this isn't easy for you either. She loved you so much, you know. You were her golden boy.
A hot pressure builds behind my eyes, a wordless grief welling up to choke me. I swallow hard against it, refusing to succumb. Not yet. I loved her too, I whisper, a quaver in the words. More than she ever knew.
She knew. Listen, why don't you come by the restaurant later? I'll be there with a few of the staff, just processing. There's a full liquor cabinet that needs drinking. You should be a part of that.
Oh, I'm sure Tia would approve of that. Celebrating her life the way she lived it, with sangria and tequila.
Damn right she would. You remember her 70th birthday party? I'm pretty sure we went through 3 bottles of Patron.
And at least as much mezcal. God, that woman could drink. Put the rest of us to shame.
She could do just about anything. Anyway, swing by if you feel up to it, yeah? Bring the boys. I know the staff would love to see them.
The mention of my sons sends a deep pang through my chest. Ethan and Remy, my bright, beautiful boys, the one untarnished good to come out of the train wreck of my marriage. They adored Auntie Allison, their tia abuela, and she doted on them in turn, sneaking them sweets when she thought I wasn't looking, teaching them the secret ingredients in her famous Brava sauce. I would, but it's Marisol's week with them. The admission tastes bitter on my tongue, even after a year of this new shared custody reality, dropping the kids off every other Sunday, going days without more than a FaceTime. I can come by myself.
Good, that's good. I should be there at about 4 o'clock. All right, I'll let you go. I'm sure you have plenty to process. But Angel, she chose you for a reason, you know. She always saw the man you could be, even when you couldn't see it yourself. Just remember that, okay?
Tears burn like acid behind my eyes, my throat closing up to trap a rising sob. Okay, thanks, Anthony. I'll see you then. I end the call and just sit for a long moment, staring sightlessly out the car window at the shimmering asphalt, the sun-baked sprawl of the strip malls and cacti. But I don't see any of it. Not really. Instead, image after image flashes through my mind, a relentless montage of memory and emotion. Tia, beaming with pride at my West Point graduation, the only family to make the trip east. Tia cradling a newborn Ethan, her dark eyes overbright as she whispered the traditional blessing over him. Tia holding me as I wept after Poppy's cancer diagnosis, her slim brown hands strong and sure on my shaking shoulders. Slowly, I reach out and lay my palm against the sun-warmed steering wheel, curling my fingers around the worn leather. Once again, I attempt to put the car into drive, but my hand shakes as soon as it leaves the wheel. I curl my shaking hand into a fist and bang it against my forehead. When I relax my fist, and the shaking has stopped, I bow my head and finally let the tears come.
Welcome, listeners. I'm Lexi, your co-host on the Robert Solano podcast, where we peel back the layers of storytelling and business wisdom. Today, we just listened to an immersive first chapter from Second Service, a gripping tale penned by none other than Robert Solano himself. Now, we're here for the post-show discussion to delve deeper into the nuances of the story, the inspirations behind it, and the life lessons it harbors. So, Robert, kicking things off with something that's been on my mind and probably the listeners too, the narration of the chapter we just heard was incredible. Was that you speaking or artificial intelligence?
Hey, Lexi. Yeah, so that actually was my clone. I did the intro at the very beginning of the show before the music, but the entire narration was my clone. It wasn't me. This is the first time I'm actually speaking live since the show started. So I cloned my voice. I use a program called 11 Labs and uploaded a few hours of professional grade audio and got a pretty realistic sounding voice afterwards. And that's what did the narration. And then I use other characters, again, AI characters from 11 Labs. And they were, the Anthony, the barista, the Gary, those were all AI voices. No live people were telling the story.
That's fascinating, Robert. Using AI in such a creative way really brings a whole new dimension to storytelling. Now, diving into another aspect of your life that seems to weave its way into your writing, your military experience. How has serving in the military influenced the themes and characters in Second Service?
Yeah, I think you'll find as we go over this season is that lots of the characters parallel either events in my life or lives that I've touched or been part of. And yes, I am in the Army and I am getting ready to retire and transition to a career after the military. So in lots of ways, Angel, the main character, is actually just a little bit ahead of me in that transition. But in lots of ways, lots of the kind of anxiety and feelings that he has about the military and his experience really, parallel the feelings that I frequently have inside myself at times.
It sounds like Angel's journey is not just a narrative arc, but a deeply personal exploration for you. Speaking of which, the narrative touches on Angel comparing himself to his successful West Point classmates, a feeling many can relate to. How do you navigate these feelings of comparison in your own life, especially with classmates who have gone on to become successful congressmen and more?
Yeah, so when I talk about Wes Hunt, John James, and Pat Ryan, and some of the other classmates, those are really my classmates. Those are not fictional characters. Myself, John James, Wes Hunt, we were in flight school together in Alabama, frequently hanging out at barbecues and socializing. And that was, 20 years ago at this point. But yes, they have gone on to become congressmen. And I think lots of people experience that. I don't care who you are. Most of us know people that are potentially more successful than us in some aspects of our lives that we compare to. And I really kind of just want to bring out that feeling of how sometimes when you compare yourselves to others, it can, make you feel down about yourself or feel like you're not achieving your full worth in life. And I think I did a good job with that. And, fortunately, I have some really incredible classmates that I'm super proud of that I got to use in the story.
It's incredibly brave and honest of you to weave these real experiences and feelings into your story. It adds a layer of authenticity that resonates with so many of us. You also mentioned using AI in the writing process. Could you tell us more about how you incorporated AI tools, like the voice cloning for the narration, into the creation of Second Service?
Yeah, I already talked about the voice cloning, so I won't belabor that point. But in writing it, I also used AI. So, I wrote an initial kind of outline for the different chapters, and then I would use a prompt I generated in a program called Claude AI, and Claude AI would essentially build out the chapter in more detail based upon the prompt. And then I'd iterate with Claude AI. I iterate with ChatGPT. I'd use ChatGPT to help me kind of do research here and there, and sometimes I think fine tuning different parts of the chapter or book to be more in line with what I want. I think ChatGPT is a little bit better at the fine tuning, but in like the long form, writing 3,000-4,000 words, Claude AI was super helpful in that regard. So those are the two programs I used to write the book. But it's an original thought, original idea, original chapter outlines. I think as you'll see, even though I'm using AI, it's still a human behind the wheel.
Your approach really highlights the collaborative potential between human creativity and AI capabilities. It's clear that while AI played a role in the development, the heart and soul of the story, the themes, the characters, their emotions and journeys, are deeply human, originating from your own experiences and insights. Switching gears a bit, what was your inspiration for Second Service? What sparked this particular story for you?
I'm actually a business coach on the side, and I was actually coaching my wife's leadership team. My wife, Sarah, she owns a law firm. She helps immigrants build a better future. So, if you need an immigration attorney, please reach out. But I was leading their team through a training exercise, and I got the idea of using a restaurant as an analogy for lots of basic business principles like hiring, sales, growth, marketing, all that stuff. And so I kind of built out this analogy that we did over an hour-long training. And then I just couldn't, I just kept thinking about it. I kept thinking about, adding more detail and how incredible of a story it would be if I could actually expand this more to bring in some personal challenges in addition to business challenges. And so ultimately, that kind of led to the book. So it's filled with, plenty of business, entrepreneur, life lessons, all that good stuff.
That's such a unique origin story for Second Service. It's fascinating how an educational exercise evolved into a rich narrative that intertwines personal growth with business acumen. Considering the blend of personal challenges and business lessons in Second Service, can you share a bit about one key lesson you hope readers will take away from Angel's journey?
I think the lesson, kind of the nugget that's buried in this chapter, this first chapter, is when Anthony says, you need to decide what you deserve. And then once you decide what you deserve, the universe will conspire to give it to you. And I truly believe that in life. And I think it'll be a while before Angel realizes that as well. But I think, lots of people, their biggest challenge in getting what they want is they just haven't really decided what they want and decided that they deserve it. But I think once you do that, all of a sudden the universe really starts opening opportunities. Now, hopefully it's not like this where your aunt dies and you inherit a restaurant, but I think there's lots of other opportunities and ways that the universe kind of gives you what you think and know that you deserve in the end. So that's kind of the major takeaway. Anyway, really appreciate this interview. I think you did a great job. I think we got a little bit of tweaking to do, Lexi, because you are an AI system yourself. But thank you, readers. If you want to support, please leave a 5-star review, subscribe, and I'm signing out. I'm Robert Solano. Thank you, Lexi. Thank you, all my robots and clone, and we'll see you next time.
Robert, thank you for sharing your insights, the behind-the-scenes look at your creative process, and for the lively discussion. Your journey from concept to creation is an inspiration in itself, showing how passion, innovation, and a bit of technology can turn ideas into impactful stories. Listeners, don't forget to support Robert by subscribing and sharing your thoughts through reviews and social media. Until next time, keep turning the page on your own adventures. And remember, the universe is waiting to conspire in your favor, as long as you decide what you deserve. See you in the next episode.